This is Tire Metalhead Weatherman. Hopefully, you guys are having a good Sunday or have had a good Sunday by the time you see this video. Well, we're gonna take a little bit of a change of pace. I was debating whether or not I'd make a second video, but then when we look over here, yeah, we were talking about a day 7 slight risk that's now moved to day 6, but now we have also got a day 5 slight risk now added to the mix here. So we're going to be going over the parameters again, looking at the main talking points that the Storm Prediction Center has been talking about here, and just kind of going from there. So here is our day 5 threat, and this is the new one. This area is a little bit further off to the north and east here. This time we're looking into west central and central Kansas here. We're looking at areas like Garden City, Liberal, Wichita. You're just to the east of this for right now. And then we go into Oklahoma. We're looking at cities like Woodward. We are looking at the Panhandle of Texas. We have Amarillo, and we also have Lubbock involved as well. And for our day 6, not really much has changed. It's pretty much the same areas. Actually, there's no change at all so far, but I do think that this area could move a little bit further to the north and east. And I'll explain why I believe that to be so in a little bit. So let's go ahead and take a look at our vorticity maps. One of my favorite maps to look at. Kind of highlights where our storm system is and what strength it could be at. I mean, here's our legend key as far as our intensity is concerned, as far as colors. This is all based off of wind speeds at the higher levels. This is measured in knots, by the way, just so you know. And this is for cyclonic vorticity. We'll move this forward here, and it's not until later into the 3rd of November here where this low becomes closed off and really starts to get its act together. And once we get into the afternoon of the 4th is whenever I think that first part of our severe threat comes into play here. I do think this threat more towards the southern end of the slight risk is what gets my attention the most right now. This is in a interesting spot. I don't necessarily believe there will be a major tornado threat with this. This definitely has a look of a linear type event, but it does have that neutral tilt, so you never know. And we'll have to see how the models trend throughout the next few days, because we're still well over 5 days out. We're in that not no man's land, I would say, but we're in that mid-range where it's still pretty hard to tell. And once we get into the 5th, that's when things really start to look robust here. And I think this day out of the 2 looks like the more pronounced threat for a little bit of everything, especially tornadoes. But one thing I also want to make a note of here is we look at the barbs at the lower levels, and I'll show that in a minute. It'll also show how much moisture we're going to be able to have pulled in from the Gulf here, especially as we move forward from the 4th into the 5th, like for example right here. You can kind of see some moisture being pulled out ahead of it just from these barbs here at the higher levels of the atmosphere. So that just goes to show that ingredients definitely look like they're trying to come into place for a pretty significant event, possibly. I do see a potential for this to be upgraded to an enhanced risk. I don't know if it'll be before day 3. In fact, if anything, I doubt it. But the potential is definitely there. We can't rule it out. By the 6th, this looks a lot less impressive here. I do think that there is a chance for a threat, but I think the thermodynamics are going to be lacking in this region. We'll cover that as time goes on, but as this ejects out to the north and east, I do think that the severe weather threat will start to diminish from that point. And that's pretty much all we got here with the Euro. So let's go ahead and take a look at the GFS. And we're going to basically start from the same point, looking around the morning of the 3rd. And it pretty much is showing the same thing. Very robust looking storm system. Similar Gulf of Mexico moisture flow. Similar angle, but I do think this is a little bit further back than the Euro. I'm not entirely sure, but Either way, it looks like this is going to be a pretty robust storm system, especially on the 5th and the 6th. By the 7th, this looks like it hangs around and trends a little bit further to the east, actually, here, too. So it'll be interesting to see what that does, but we start to lose that trough at this point, so some severe storms could be possible if we're going off the GFS here on the 7th, but I'm not super confident in that right now because this is where we're starting to get into that little bit of a model discrepancy here. So all we can do is watch and see how things trend and just go from that point. And then once we look towards maybe midway towards November, I think we have a pattern shift on the way here. So far, I can't really tell if it's going to be a huge Arctic blast. There is a little bit of a cold shot that looks like it's going to work its way into the Ohio Valley. And then it's also probably going to cool down the southeast a little bit. But I do think another positive PNA shift could be inbound here towards the middle of the month. We'll have to see how things progress from that point. So let's go ahead and take a look at the dew points here because this is a major talking point as well. You could kind of tell based off of how the moisture flow looks because we'll move this up to the 3rd here. Oops, going a little too far. And somewhere back here is where I think our storm system is right now. Move this forward, and you can kind of just see as that storm system progresses this way, you see that moisture just getting pulled in. That's that southwesterly flow that I was talking about here. You don't necessarily have to look at the wind barbs in order to really see it. You can just kind of see it just on this map alone here. And there goes pivotal weather. And there we go, now it's back. So here we are on the 4th, and you can see how rich the moisture is. The dew points are sitting into the upper 60s, some places even towards 70. Definitely looking like a marquee type of severe weather outbreak where we could get a little bit of everything. The wind pattern does seem pretty favorable to me at this time for potential damaging winds and tornadoes. And then as time goes on, move further along, this upper level low starts to fall apart, and its ability to pull moisture goes along with it. And of course, there goes pivotal weather again. But this also brings a lot more humidity and higher dew points towards the south and east here, and it kind of leaves it trapped right now, which is going to be interesting. I do think a warming trend is going to happen around the south first week of November, and then after that we'll have to see how things progress from there. And it looks like we've frozen entirely again. So let's go ahead and go to the GFS, kind of compare the dew points. I don't expect too much to really be different there. Nope. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and see if this will even load even. So it looks like we're struggling with my computer right now. Seems we're connected to everything. Okay, there we go. All right, here we go. Now we're back in business here. So here's our incoming system here, and actually with this map here on Tropical Tidbits, you can actually see the wind barbs here. Moisture coming in from that low-level southwesterly flow. Oh, I'm hitting the wrong button. That's what that is. So here's our rich dew points here, hanging into the upper 60s and 70s here, is represented by the yellow and orange colors. So no surprises there. Looks exactly the same. Around here is where things get a little more interesting. Those dew points still look like they reach a little bit further into the north and east. And then we get this little, what looks like a front here on the back side of this too. The Euro hasn't really picked up on this front at this point, and that's weird because of the range that we're in. Because we can look up to about 240 hours. We're at 204. So again, plenty of model discrepancy here. We're gonna have to just monitor things and see how things play out from this point too. And then of course, we're getting into no man's land here where we don't know, where we don't really have any evidence to anything. But that's an interesting look there. We'll go ahead and just take a final look at what the radar could look like for some of these areas and what could lie ahead into the mid to long range with some of these models. Go ahead and set that one up. And hopefully we can get pivotal weather to work here. I may have to refresh the page here because I've been having a lot of problems with pivotal as of late. All right, we're back in business now. I can't believe how much trouble I've been having with pivotal as of late. But we'll try and set this into a loop. Maybe this will work a little bit better. I'm not sure. I know my computer's old as dirt, so it could be a big factor. But we'll jump this to about 96 hours out. Also see if there's any sort of chance for blizzard conditions, but I'm not too optimistic about that. I'm leaning more towards this being a warm chord storm with severe weather. Although there are some Arctic blasts on the backside of this too, with the next couple of upcoming storms. We'll have to see what the wintry side of this does, but I'm definitely thinking that there's going to be a pretty considerable severe weather threat. Dare I say big time, but looks like towards the higher elevations we could have some pretty moderate to significant snowfall here. And then maybe towards the backside on this system, within the next week or two, maybe we could see a little bit of rain, snow, ice, a little bit of a wintry mix going on towards the UP of Michigan. But I'm not really going to look too far into that at the moment. And there goes pivotal weather again. Eesh, we're having so much trouble with pivotal today. It's honestly ridiculous. And well, we got to move this to about 96 hours out again, which kind of sucks. But that just seems like that's how things are going to be for this video today. So all right, here we go. And of course, here we are starting to look at our severe weather threat beginning to build up by next Saturday afternoon. Definitely has the look of a linear type of severe threat. There's some snow on the backside of this according to the GFS here for some parts of the desert around New Mexico, which is interesting, but also see a lot of warm lines around here sitting at about 558 and 552. We're looking for that 540 line. If you're looking for that 540 line, which is actually the below freezing line, it's all the way up here. So interesting run there, but I'm not sold on that. And here we are on the 6th looking at our next severe threat here, and looks linear as well. I do think that there's a slightly greater potential for there to be more tornadoes than, and maybe even a few supercells, but that's just one of the other interesting discrepancies that we have with the GFS and the Euro here. So I find that interesting, and we might as well just go all the way through this model run here. It looks like towards the 11th we have this little clipper system here that looks like could be taking hold of the Great Lakes. This definitely looks like it adds up a little bit more versus what we were seeing here. But this looks like it tries to work its way into the northeast here. Could start out as rain in some areas and snow towards the others. Then, interestingly enough, this does take that look of a coastal storm towards the end here, and it could result in some snow in a few areas around Maine here, maybe even some areas around Rhode Island, Connecticut, Vermont, New Hampshire. we'll have to watch that real close because that has an interesting look to it. And then this, of course, ends up getting kicked out to the north and east. And then after that, but of course, given how far out we are, this is pretty much no man's land. So it's not like I can read into it a lot. But this is all I got for this video here. If you like what I did here, definitely let me know what you think of the weather as well. Drop a like, of course. Let me know in the comments your thoughts. Sub to the channel, share the channel if you haven't already. And stay tuned because there's going to be plenty more videos to come with stuff like this going on. But anyways, this has been Tyre Metalhead Weatherman. I will see you guys in the next video.